When it comes to storing Camper, we're going to do a few things a little bit differently. And mainly that's because she's a little more involved than our other characters. So one of the first things I want to check, I want to make sure that all of my nudging is correct and everything can move in front where it's supposed to move in front, and everything moves behind where it's supposed to move behind. So I have my transform tool, and I'll click the arm, for instance. I'm just going to rotate this to see what's happening. And I already see I've got some issues here. So what I want to do is make sure my animate button is off. And I'm going to rotate the arm all the way up here. And I'll make sure that this is selected. I'll just click directly on the pivot point. And I'm going to hold down my Option key, and that's Alt on PC, and press the down arrow. And the way you can think about this is the down arrow on your keyboard is pointing toward you. So we're going to be moving the arm toward us on the Z-axis. All right, so that's done a little bit, but we still have the eye in front. So I'm going to hold down my Option key and press down once more. All right. So that looks decent. All right, so that works. And just to make sure this gets back to its default position, I'll simply press the R key. All right, and let's do Shift B. Move down the hierarchy. So I'm looking at the forearm, press R again. Shift B once more, go to the hand, and I'll press R again. Now, what R is basically, it's a reset for the original position. So I'll also check the back arm here. And I'll rotate this backward. And it looks like it's going through the hair, but it's actually supposed to be doing that because her arm should be kind of cutting through that a little bit. So that looks good. And the leg looks like it's doing what it should do. And we'll check the back leg as well. All right, and that looks good. So go ahead and press R again. Shift B, press R once more. Looks good. And for the other leg, I'll press R again. And we'll press R for the robot arm. And that looks decent. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to set up some pegs for the character. And this is going to be a little bit different because we actually have a bone that we use to control Camper's neck. Now, if you remember, the neck is actually part of the torso. It's all one solid drawing. And if I turn on our bones so we can see them, this is how it works. Now, the problem is, if I decide to move the upper body, for instance, the upper arm as well as the torso, we're going to run into some issues. So to avoid this, I'm going to create a peg for the upper body. I'm also going to create a peg for the lower body. So what I'm going to do is I'll select the torso, and I'll come over here and I'll add a peg. And I'll call this Camper UPR body. Okay. And what I'll do then is grab the arm, and I want to drag this under the peg, and I'll come down to the bottom and grab the other robot arm. And I'll place that as well under the peg. I'm just going to reorganize how the layers are stacked here, so everything still looks in order. And it looks like we had a little bit of nudging we need to adjust. So I'm going to turn off my bone for a moment, and we'll click that front arm, and we're going to nudge that forward again. And that was 2. Looks good. And we'll test the back arm. Back arm is still good. And I'll go ahead and collapse that upper body peg. Now, if I select the upper body peg, we're going to give it a pivot point. And to adjust this, we'll go to our advanced animation tools to rotate. And I'm going to place this right about at the hip. And so now if I go to my transform, I can rotate the upper body with no issues. And last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and set up a peg for the entire body. So I'll select the upper leg, go ahead and select Add Peg. And we're going to call this Camper or CMPR-Master. And this will be the master peg. And we'll place the other pieces under the peg, and I've got my layers back in order. So the left leg, which is the front leg, then we have the torso or the upper body, and then the back leg. Now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and select the library, and I'll simply drag Camper to the simple area here to Anatomy V3. And I'll keep the name Camper Master Peg. And I'll click OK. So when it comes to complex characters, you may have to break things up into more than one peg. And you definitely want to check your Z-axis on all the different parts to make sure that the arms are in front where they should be in front, and the arms or legs are in back where they should be in back.